Hello and welcome to this first look exploring session looking at Women Beware Women by Thomas Middleton, limits 1618 to 1621, somewhere in that early 1620s. We've just noticed just before we started that there was a massive gap in our script, which we filled. There might be some more massive gaps in our script. There might be some errors, so we'll flag them up as they come, but we might not be able to have time to throw them at you. But this is a first look. That's what these first looks are for, is to notice when we've massively messed up. I say we. I massively messed up. But anyway, we are going to work our way through Women Beware Women and do check content warnings on the video description, as some of Late Middleton can get quite dark. So do check content warnings there for anything that's going to be coming up. To read through, as far as we're going to get today, we have this wonderful set of readers in the room. Reading Livia today is
Rachel in Canada.
Reading Sordido and Citizen is
Alan, Sordid in Suffolk.
Reading Fabritio is
Connor in London.
Reading Isabella and Apprentice is
Sarah in The Hague.
Reading Leantio and Duke is
Kyle in Tucson.
Reading Guardiano and Second Boy is
Aaron in the Pacific Northwest of the United States.
Reading Mother is
Lynn, also in the northwestern United States.
Reading, as originally spelt Brancha, but more commonly called Bianca, is
Lois in London.
Joining us, reading Boys, Third Boy and Servant is
Hi, I'm Eric. I don't usually have a name, but I mean, it's just for today, just...
and
It's
stepping
Rob's
in to read last minute, you might be unlucky and lose all your parts. Reading Hippolito today is
Hello, I'm Greg, and I'm the enemy from the evenings.
and joining us for the first time, reading Ward and First Boy is
Hi, I'm Savannah. I'm from Oklahoma in the United States.
And I'm your host, Robert Crighton. I'll be reading stage directions and or hunting out the massive gaps in the text as we go along. Hopefully, we found it, and it's all fine, but we shall see. Anyway, without further ado, we will begin reading the play, and we will start. There is no prologue. Act 1, Scene 1, we have Enter Leantio with Brancha and Mother.
Thy sight was never yet more precious to me. Welcome with all the affection of a mother that comfort can express from natural love. Since thy birth joy a mother's chiefest gladness, after she has undergone her curse of sorrows, thou wast not more dear to me than this hour presents thee to my heart. Welcome again.
Alas, poor affectionate soul, how her joy speaks to me. I have observed it often, and I know it is the fortune commonly of knavish children to have the lovingest mothers.
What's this, gentlewoman?
Oh, you have named the most unvalued purchase that youth of man had ever knowledge of. As often as I look upon that treasure and know it to be mine, there lies the blessing. It joys me that I ever was ordained to have a being and to live amongst men, which is a fearful living and a poor one. Let a man truly think on it. To have the toil and griefs of 80 years put up in a white sheet, tied with 2 knots, methinks it should strike earthquakes in adulterers, when e'en the very sheets they commit sin in may prove, for aught they know, all their last garments. Oh, what a mark were there for women then! But beauty, able to content a conqueror, whom earth could scarce content, keeps me in compass. I find no wish in my bent sinfully to this man's sister, or to that man's wife. In love's name, let them keep their honesties, and cleave to their own husbands. 'Tis their duties. Now when I go to church, can pray handsomely, nor come like gallants only to see faces, as if lust went to market still on Sundays. I must confess, I am guilty of one sin, mother, more than I brought into the world with me. But that I glory in. 'Tis theft, but noble as ever greatness yet shot up withal.
How's that?
Never to be repented, mother. Though sin be death, I had died if I had not sinned. And here's my masterpiece. Do you now behold her? Look on her well. She's mine. Look on her better. Now say if it be not the best piece of theft that ever was committed, and I have my pardon for it. 'Tis stealed from heaven by marriage.
Married to her?
You must keep counsel, mother. I am undone else. If it be known, I have lost her. Do but think now what that loss is. Life's but a trifle to it. From Venice, her consent and I have brought her. From parents great in wealth, more now in rage, but let storms spend their furies. Now we have got a shelter or a quiet innocent loves. We are contented. Little money she brought me. View but her face, you may see all her dowry, save that which lies locked up in hidden virtues, like jewels kept in cabinets.
You're to blame if your obedience will give way to a check to wrong such a perfection.
How?
Such a creature, to draw her from fortune, which no doubt at the full time might have proved rich and noble, you know not what you have done. My life can give you but little helps, and my death lesser hopes. And hitherto your own means had but made shift to keep you single, and that hardly too. What ableness have you to do her right then in maintenance fitting her birth and virtues, which every woman of necessity looks for, and most to go above it, not confined by their conditions, virtues, bloods, or birth, but flowing to affections, wills, and humors?
Speak low, sweet mother. You are able to spoil as many as come within hearing. If it be not your fortune to mar all, I have much marvel. I pray do not you teach her to rebel when she's in a good way to obedience, to rise with other women in commotion against their husbands for 6 gowns a year, and so maintain their cause when they're once up. In all things else that require cost enough, they are all of them a kind of spirit soon raised, but not so soon laid, mother, as, for example, a woman's belly is got up in a trice, a simple charge ere it be laid down again. So ever in all their quarrels and their courses, and I'm a proud man, I hear nothing of them, they're very still. I thank my happiness, and sound asleep. Pray, let not your tongue wake 'em. If you can but rest quiet, she's contented, with all conditions that my fortune brings to her. To keep close as a wise that loves her husband, wife, to go after the rate of my ability, not the licentious swing of her own will, like some of her old schoolfellows. She intends to take out other work in a new sampler, and frame the fashion of an honest love, which knows no wants but mocking poverty, brings forth more children to make rich men wonder at divine providence that feeds mouths of infants, and sends them none to feed, but stuffs their rooms with fruitful bags, their beds with barren wombs. Good mother, make not you things worse than they are. Out of your too much openness, pray take heed on it, nor imitate the envy of old people that strive to mar good sport because they are perfect. I would have you more pitiful to youth, especially to your own flesh and blood. I'll prove an excellent husband. Here's my hand. Lay in provision, follow my business roundly, and make you a grandmother in 40 weeks. Go, pray, salute her. Bid her welcome cheerfully.
Gentlewoman, thus much is a debt of courtesy which fashionable strangers pay each other at kind meeting. But there's more than one due to the knowledge I have of your nearness. I am bold to come again and salute you now by the name of daughter, which may challenge more than ordinary respect.
And kisses her again.
I'm worried I'm in the wrong text. Am I in the wrong text?
No.
No.
No?
Because I didn't see Anne kisses her again.
I adjusted what was on your text slightly to be more
Okay.
accurate.
All right. And so we ended with then ordinary respect, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Why, this is well now, and I think few mothers of threescore will mend it.
What I can bid you welcome to is mean, but make it all your own. We are full of wants and cannot welcome worth.
Now this is scurvy, and spake as if a woman lacked her teeth. These old folks talk of nothing but defects because they grow so full of them themselves.
Kind mother, there is nothing can be wanting to her that does enjoy all her desires. Heaven send a quiet peace with this man's love, and I am as rich as virtue can be poor, which were enough after the rate of mind to erect temples for content placed here. I have forsook friends, fortunes, and my country, and hourly I rejoice in it. Here's my friends, and few is the good number. Thy successes, howe'er they look, I will still name my fortunes. Hopeful or spiteful, they shall all be welcome. Who invites many guests has of all sorts, as he that traffics much drinks of all fortunes. Yet they must all be welcome and used well. I'll call this place the place of my birth now, and rightly too, for here my love was born, and that's the birthday of a woman's joys. You have not bid me welcome since I came.
That I did, questions.
No, sure. How was't? I have quite forgot it.
Thus.
Kisses her.
Oh, sir, 'tis true. Now I remember well. I've done thee wrong. Pray take it again, sir.
Kisses him.
How many of these wrongs could I put up in an hour? You turn up the glass for twice as many more.
Will it please you to walk in, daughter?
Thanks, sweet mother. The voice of her that bare me is not more pleasing.
And exit Brancha and mother leaving Leantio.
Though my own care and my rich master's trust lay their commands both on my factorship, this day and night I'll no other business but her and her dear welcome. 'Tis a bitterness to think upon tomorrow, that I must leave her still to the sweet hopes of the weekends. That pleasure should be so restrained and curbed, after the course of a rich workmaster that never pays till Saturday night. Mary, it comes together in a round sum then, and does more good, you'll say, O fair-eyed Florence. Didst thou not but know what a most matchless jewel thou now art mistress of? A pride would take thee, able to shoot destruction through the bloods of all thy youthful sons. But 'tis great policy to keep choice treasures in obscurest places. Should we show thieves our wealth, 'twould make them bolder. Temptation is a devil will not stick to fasten upon a saint. Take heed of that. The jewel is cased up from all men's eyes. Who would imagine now a gem were kept of that great value under this plain roof? But how in times of absence? What assurance of this restraint then? Yes, yes, there's one with her. Old mothers know the world, and such as these, when sons lock chests, are good to look the keys.
And exit Leantio, and then we'll pause, taking a bit of an in-breath, having navigated a very lightly edited section of text. Well done for tripping over, or not tripping over, some of the more awkward errors. So we've in a sense, what we've got is a relatively straightforward bit of setting up of plot, in the sense of someone's come back, here's my new wife, meet the family, maybe stay indoors, and that's it. But there's an awful lot of text for that, and there's a lot of stuff diving into people's innermost lives. Thoughts in the room on that as an opening? Lynn,
Yeah, a couple of things. I'm somewhat familiar with this play. In fact, I'm a big fan of it. I was excited about this week. I am excited about this week. I had forgotten that Leantio goes on so much. Like he's such the chatty Cathy, and a lot of it doesn't seem super relevant. So we'll see if there's something thematic about his monologuing. And the other thing is just just I think everyone in the original audience would have sensed this, and then many people in the current audience, when a play begins the way a comedy ends, it's a tragedy. You know, bad things are going to happen. If it starts out happy, wherever you got to go, you know.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Especially, it's more apparent when you're doing a play that has a relatively good modern production history. Is they probably made some cuts, and that's the great thing about plays that are potentially too long. Is you can decide where those cuts live, and maybe we're already having that discussion of maybe do we need all of this? Is all of this journey necessary? That is not a bad thing when you have a play script, because you can always, depending on how much important connective tissue there is, you know, this scene plot wise is relatively simple and could be dealt with in, you know, a fraction of the time. It's now a matter of deciding what part of these relationships and what part of this discourse is really important to where the characters go further on, and that's great, because we've got more stuff than perhaps we need. Decisions can be made depending on how maximalist you want to go. Any other thoughts before we move on, Eric?
Well, I have to admit that the first bit just sort of went over my head, but like it does feel like he's kind of trying to. It's like he's rewriting Proverbs in a way for some reason. Just like you know, that bit about like the last part. Old mothers know the world, and such as these, when sons lock chests, are good to look to keys. It's like, what on earth does that mean without context? Like, sort of, you kind of, I mean, you know, if you don't get what's going on before that, because it's an entire discussion. There's no real action as it's not like sort of other stuff that starts in media res, or whatever the correct phrase is, where you know you kind of you know where you are and what you're talking about immediately. This is very sort of dense language.
Yeah,
or maybe that's just me.
No, it's not you. You know, this is late Middleton. It's dense. It's a bit elliptical. The syntax is a bit slippery. This is what he does, and he also doesn't necessarily always give you very much clear exposition to start off with. He does tend to throw us into a thing, and then just no. Trust us, you'll get to it, is sort of what he seems to say. So yeah, if you're a little lost, that's not wholly unreasonable, because I think that is part of what this text is doing. Very briefly, Alan, then we'll move on.
I must admit, my feeling is that by this point, a chunk of the audience could well be shuffling in the seats and thinking, oh, isn't there something else we ought to be doing?
Oh, no, I think that... Again, in performance, how much of this would you keep? How much would you not? There's some good meat in there, but you're right. I think it is a matter of being very clear with what you're doing with your production. Is important, and you could lose people at this point, but not necessarily. Let's gather as we have a scene with 3 other people coming on stage. It's they enter 3 by 3. Act 1, Scene 2. Enter Guardiano, Fabritio, and Livia.
What, has your daughter seen him yet? Know you that?
No matter, she shall love him.
Nay, let's have fair play. He has been now my ward some 15 year, and 'tis my purpose, as time calls upon me, by custom seconded, and such moral virtues to tender him a wife. Now, sir, this wife I'd fain elect out of a daughter of yours. You see my meaning's fair. If now this daughter, so tendered, let me come to your own phrase, sir, should offer to refuse him, I were hanselled. Thus am I fain to calculate all my words for the meridian of a foolish old man, to take his understanding. What do you answer, sir?
I say still, she shall love him.
Yet again? And shall she have no reason for this love?
Why do you think that women love with reason?
I perceive fools are not at all hours foolish, no more than wise men wise.
I had a wife. She run mad for me. She had no reason for it, for aught I can save. What think you, lady sister?
'Twas a fit match that, being both out of their wits, a loving wife it seems, she strove to come as near you as she could.
And if her daughter could prove not mad for love too, she takes not after her, nor after me. If she prefer reason before my pleasure, you'll experience a widow. Lady sister, I pray let your opinion come amongst us.
I must offend you then, if truth will do it, and take my niece's part, and call it injustice to force her love to one she never saw. Maids should both see and like, all little enough. If they love truly after that, 'tis well. Counting the time, she takes one man till death. That's a hard task, I tell you. But one may inquire at 3 years' end amongst young wives, and mark how the game goes.
Why, is not man tied to the same observance, lady sister, and one woman?
'Tis enough for him. Besides, he tastes of many sundry dishes that we poor wretches never lay our lips to, as obedience forsooth, subjection, duty, and such kickshaws, all of our making, but served into them. And if we lick a finger, then sometimes we are not to blame. Your best cooks use it.
Art a sweet lady, sister, and a witty.
A witty, oh, the bud of commendation fit for a girl of 16. I am blown, man. I should be wise by this time, and for instance, I have buried my 2 husbands in good fashion, and never mean more to marry.
No, why so, lady?
Because the 3rd shall never bury me. I think I am more than witty. How think you, sir?
I have paid often fees to a counsellor, has had a weaker brain.
Then I must tell you, your money was soon parted.
Light her now, brother.
Where is my niece? Let her be sent for straight, if you have any hope 'twill prove a wedding. 'Tis fitty faith she should have one sight of him and stop upon it, and not be joined in haste, as if they were to stalk a Newfoundland.
Look out her, uncle, and you assure her. Those 2 are never asunder. They've been heard in an argument at midnight, moonshine nights, on noon days with them. They walk out their sleeps, or rather as those hours appear like those that walk in them, for so they do to me. Look you, I told you truth. There's like a chain, draw but one link, and all follows.
Enter Hippolito and Isabella the niece.
O affinity, what piece of excellent workmanship art thou! 'Tis work clean wrought, for there's no lust but love in't, and that abundantly, when in stranger things there is no love at all, but what lust brings.
On with your mask, for 'tis your part to see now, and not be seen. Go to, make use of your time. See what you mean to like, nay, and I charge you, like what you see. Do you hear me? There's no dallying. The gentleman's almost 20, and 'tis time he was getting lawful heirs, and you a breeding on 'em.
But father,
Tell me not of tongues and rumours. You'll say the gentleman is somewhat simple, the better for a husband. Were you wise, for those that marry fools live ladies' lives. On with the mask. I'll hear no more. He's rich. The fool's hid under bushels.
Not so hid neither, but here's a foul great piece of him, methinks. What will he be when he comes altogether?
Enter the ward with a trap stick and Sordido his man.
Beat him? I beat him out of the field with his own cat stick, yet gave him the first hand.
How strange.
I did it. Then he said Jack's on me.
What? My lady's tailor?
Aye, and I beat him too.
Nay, that's no wonder. He's used to beating.
Nay, I tickled him when I came once to my tippings.
Now you talk on 'em. There was a poulterer's wife made a great complaint of you last night to your gardener, that you struck a bump in her child's head as big as an egg.
An egg may prove a chicken then in time. The poulterer's wife will get bite. When I am in game, I am furious. Came my mother's eyes in my way, I would not lose a fair end. No, were she alive, but with one tooth in her head, I should venture the striking out of that. I think of nobody when I'm in play. I am so earnest. Codes me, my gardener. Prithee lay out my cat and cat stick safe.
Where, sir? Chimney corner?
Chimney corner?
Yes, sir. Your cats are always safe in the chimney corner, unless they burn their coats.
Marry, that I am afraid on.
Why, then I will bestow your cat in the gutter, and there she's safe, I'm sure.
If I but live to keep a house, I'll make thee a great man. If meat or drink can do't, I can stoop gallantly, and pitch out when I list. I'm dog in a hole. I'm marl my Guardiano does not seek a wife for me. I protest I'll have a bout with the maids else, or contract myself at midnight to the larder woman in presence of a fool, or a sack posset.
Ward!
I feel myself after my exercise, horribly prone. Let me but ride, I'm lusty, a cock were straight of faith.
Why, Ward, I say.
I'll forswear eating eggs and moonshine nights. There's never one I'll eat but turns into a cock in 24 hours. If my hot blood be not took down in time, sure 'twill crow shortly.
Do you hear, sir? Follow me, I must new school you.
School me? I scorn that now, I am past schooling. I am not so base to learn to write and read. I was born to better fortunes in my cradle.
And exit Ward.
How do you like him, girl? This is your husband. Like him or like him not, wench, you shall have him, and you shall love him.
Oh, soft there, brother. Though you be a justice, your warrant cannot be served out of your liberty. You may compel out of the power of father things merely harsh to a maid's flesh and blood. But when you come to love, there the soil alters. You are in another country, where your laws are no more set by than the cacklings of geese in Rome's great capital.
Marry him she shall then. Let her agree upon love afterwards.
And exit Fabritio.
You speak now, brother, like an honest mortal that walks upon the earth with a staff. You were up in the clouds before. You'd command love, and so do most old folks that go without it. My best and dearest brother, I could dwell here. There is not much another seat on earth where all good parts better express themselves.
Oh, you'll make me blush anon.
It's but like saying grace before a feast then, and that's most comely. Thou art all a feast, and she that has thee a most happy guest. Prithee cheer up that niece with special counsel.
And exit Livia.
Would 'twere fit to speak to her, what I would. 'Twas not a thing ordained. Heaven has forbid it, and 'tis most meet that I should rather perish than the decree divine receive least blemish. Feed inward you my sorrows, make no noise, consume me silent, let me be stark dead ere the world know I am sick. You see me honesty if you befriend me so.
Marry a fool. And there be greater misery to a woman that means to keep her days true to her husband and know no other man. So virtue wills it. Why, how can I obey and honour him? But I must needs committed idolatry. A fool is but the image of a man, and that but ill made neither. Oh, the heartbreakings of miserable maids where love's enforced. The best condition is but bad enough. When women have their choices commonly, they do but buy their thraldoms, and bring great portions to men to keep him in subjection, as if a fearful prisoner should bribe the keeper to be good to him, yet lies in still, and glad of a good usage, a good look sometimes. By Our Lady, no misery surmounts a woman's. Men buy their slaves, but women buy their masters. Yet honesty and love makes all this happy, and next to angels, the most blessed estate. That Providence, that has made every poison good for some use and sets four warring elements at peace in man, can make a harmony in things that are most strange to human reason. Oh, but this marriage! What? Are you sad too, uncle? Faith, then there's a whole household down together. Where shall I go to seek my comfort now when my best friend's distressed? What is to afflict you, sir?
Faith, nothing but one grief that will not leave me, and now 'tis welcome. Every man has something to bring him to his end, and this will serve, joined with your father's cruelty to me, that helps it forward.
Oh, be cheered, sweet uncle. How long hast been upon you? I never spied it. What a dull sight have I. How long, I pray, sir?
Oh, since I first saw you, niece, and left Bologna.
And could you deal so unkindly with my heart to keep it up so long hid from my pity? Alas, how shall I trust your love hereafter? Have we passed through so many arguments and missed of that still, the most needful one? Walked out whole nights together in discourses, and the main point forgot? We are to blame both. This is an obstinate, wilful forgetfulness, and faulty on both parts. Let's lose no time now. Begin, good uncle. You that feel it. What is it?
You of all creatures, niece, must never hear on it. 'Tis not a thing ordained for you to know.
Not I, sir. All my joys that word cuts off. You made profession once you loved me best. 'Twas but profession.
Yes, I do it to you truly, and fear I shall be chid for it. Know the worst, then. I love thee dearlier than an uncle can.
Why, so you ever said, and I believed it.
Oh, so simple is the goodness of her thoughts, they understood not yet the unhallowed language of a near sinner. Must yet be forced, though brushes be my venture, to come nearer. As a man loves his wife, so love I thee.
What's that? Methought I heard ill news come toward me, which commonly we understand too soon, then over quick at hearing. I'll prevent it, though my joys fare the harder. Welcome it. It shall never come so near mine ear again. Farewell, all friendly solaces and discourses. I'll learn to live without ye, for your dangers are greater than your comforts. What's become of truth in love, if such we cannot trust, when blood that should be love is mixed with lust?
Exit Isabella.
The worst can yet be the worst can be but death, and let it come. He that lives joyless every day is his doom.
And a exit. Okay, we have a number of problematic things going on stage. Questionable depiction of the ward there as to what they mean by foolishness, and in the nature of that depiction, much more straightforward problematicness of hey, incest, you know, which weirdly easier to deal with. Yeah, thoughts on the room on that? It's a much more dynamic scene, but all of these scenes are very much dependent on the way people are interacting with each other and the things that are also going on in their heads. This is very aside heavy all the way through. There's a lot of gaming that is doing. Eric?
I was going to say that this last bit with Isabella just reminds me of the Marquis de Sade's Crime d'Amour, which is basically about someone falling in love with their cousin and trying to make it work in terms of like... I mean, obviously this was not necessarily illegal or not recommended back then, but I mean, yeah, it's of a different time, but still the rings... It's still... it's interesting that it still rings strange to us and to them, obviously, back then.
It's Isabella's reaction to Hippolito there is really actually quite interesting. I'm quite interested by this sort of... It's not like a scene where there's a sort of a open threat going on there. Of, you know, it's like he's just told, and she's just going, okay, I'm just going to possibly just stick my fingers in my ears and just pretend that didn't happen and walk away, rather than that the scene just ends. And it's really interesting that that's the way it's handled, rather than more happening. And I found that quite an interesting bit of action. Sarah?
Yeah, I found that the way she reacted really quite fascinating. And what occurred to me is that... and just full disclosure, I have read this play, but it was like 30 years ago. So I remember key bits, but not all of it. What struck me about that is that, like, they are clearly, or from her perspective at least, they are genuinely good friends. And their relationship, I mean, he's clearly got this weird, creepy, I'm in love with my niece thing going on that she's only just found out about. But before that, it seemed to me from her perspective, at least, like it was a friendship of equals. And so I think there's maybe, I don't know, what am I trying to say here? I think if I was staging this, I'd want this dude, whatever he's called, Hippolito, to be quite young. I wouldn't want to like him to be played by like an old dude with a grey beard, because, you know, if she's 16, I think, does Livia say she's 16 or refers to her maids being 16? If she's 16, then this uncle could be like 32, 35, whatever. And he could actually be, you know, young, handsome. And this could come across as more of a, not necessarily a flirtation, because I don't think it is from what Isabella's said, but it could be like more of a sort of friendship of equals rather than some old avuncular creepy dude and a really young girl. And I think that would actually help to explain her reaction, because she's just like, you know, no, this is my mate. I don't want to la, not listening. Whereas if he was an old creepy guy, she'd be like, oh my God, what's going on here? And I think we'd get a completely different speech. So that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, and it's also that position of you know, she's already being potentially married off to someone she doesn't want to marry as well. So it's like, oh, I will turn to you, and it's like, I love you. What? It's like, where does she have to turn? Lois.
Yeah, that's more or less what I was going to say. I mean, it's not as if she's saying, I'll pretend I can't hear it. I mean, she says, farewell, all friendly solaces and discourses. I mean, you know, goodbye to the one person I thought I could confide in at this point. I'm never going to see you again. I mean, I take it that's what she must mean.
Okay, let's gather some more data as we finish Act 1, I think. Act 1, Scene 3, enter Leantio alone.
Methinks I'm even as dull now at departure, as men observe great galleons the next day, after a revels. You shall see him look much of my fashion, if you mark him well. 'Tis even a second hell to part from pleasure, when man has got a smack on it. As many holidays coming together makes your poor heads idle a great while after, and are said to stick fast in their fingers' ends, even so does game in a new married couple for the time. It spoils all thrift, and indeed lies abed to invent all the new ways for great expenses.
Enter Brancha and mother at above at the window.
See, and she be not got on purpose now into the window to look after me. I have no power to go now, and I should be hanged. Farewell all business. I desire no more than I see yonder. Let the goods at key look to themselves. Why should I toil my youth out? It is but begging 2 or 3 year sooner, and stay with her continually. Is it a match? Oh, fie! What a religion have I leapt into? Get out again for shame. The man loves best when he cares most. That shows his zeal to love. Fondness is but the idiot to affection, that plays at hot cockles and rich merchants' wives. Good to make sport withal when the chest's full, and the long warehouse cracks. 'Tis time of day for us to be more wise. 'Tis early with us, and if they lose the morning of their affairs, they commonly lose the best part of the day. Those that are wealthy and have got enough, 'tis after sunset with them. They may rest, grow fat with ease, banquet, and joy and play, when such as I enter the heat of the day, and I'll do it cheerfully.
I perceive, sir, you're not gone yet. I have good hope you'll stay now.
Farewell, I must not.
Come, pray, return. Tomorrow, adding but a little care more, will dispatch all as well. Believe me, 'twill, sir.
I could well wish myself were you would have me, but love that's wanton must be ruled a while by that's careful, or all goes to ruin. As fitting is the government in love as in a kingdom, where 'tis all mere lust. 'Tis like an insurrection in the people that raised in self-will wars against all reason. But love that is respective for increase is like a good king that keeps all in peace. Once more farewell.
But this one night, I prithee.
Alas, I'm in for 20 if I stay, and then for 40 more. I have such luck to flesh. I never bought a horse, but he bore double. If I stay any longer, I shall turn an everlasting spendthrift. As you love to be maintained well, do not call me again, for then I shall not care which end goes forward. Again, farewell to thee.
And exit Leantio.
Since it must, farewell too.
Faith, daughter, you're to blame. You take the course to make him an ill husband. Troth you do. And that disease is catching, I can tell you. Aye, and soon taken by a young man's blood, and that with little urging. Nay, fie, see now, what cause have you to weep? Would I had no more that have lived 60 years. There were a cause, and were well fought on. Trust me, you're to blame. His absence cannot last 5 days at utmost. Why should these tears be fetched forth? Cannot love be even as well expressed in a good look, but it must see her face still in a fountain? It shows like a country maid dressing her head by a dish of water. Come, 'tis an old custom to weep for love.
And enter 2 or 3 boys and a citizen or 2 with an apprentice.
Now they come, now they come.
The Duke!
The state.
Here, boy.
In the next street, sir, hard at hand.
You, sirrah, get a standing for your mistress. Best in all the city.
I have for her, sir. 'Twas the thing I provided for her overnight. 'Tis ready at her pleasure.
Fetch her to it, then. Away, sir.
What's the meaning of this hurry? Can you tell, mother?
What a memory have I! I see by that years come upon me. I see that by years come upon me. Why, 'tis a yearly custom and solemnity religiously observed by the Duke and State to St. Mark's Temple the 15th of April. See if my dull brains had not quite forgot it. 'Twas happily questioned of thee. I had gone down, else sat like a drone below, and never thought on it. I would not be 10 years younger again, that you had lost the sight. Now you shall see our Duke, a goodly gentleman of his years.
Is he old, then?
About some 55.
That's no great age in man. He's then at best for wisdom and for judgment.
The Lord Cardinal, his noble brother, there's a comely gentleman, and greater in devotion than in blood.
He's worthy to be marked.
You shall behold all our chief states of Florence. You come fortunately against this solemn day.
I hope so always.
And there's music.
Oh, I hear them near us now. Do you stand easily?
Exceeding well, good mother.
Oh, take this stool.
I need it not, I thank you.
Use your will, then.
Enter, in great solemnity, 6 knights, bare-headed, then 2 cardinals, then the Lord Cardinal, then the Duke, after him the states of Florence by 2 and 2, with a variety of music and song, la la la, and they exit.
How like you it, daughter?
Oh, 'tis a noble state. Methinks my soul could dwell upon the reverence of such a solemn and most worthy custom. Did not the Duke look up? Methought he saw us.
That's everyone's conceit that sees the Duke. If he looks steadfastly, he looks straight on them, when he, perhaps, good careful gentleman, never minds any. But the look he casts is his own intentions, and his object only the public good.
Most likely so.
Come. We'll end this argument below.
And they exit. Did not the Duke look up? That's not an ominous line at all, is it? You were supposed to stay in the house, and there's a forgot it's the procession day. Everybody comes on, and obviously that would take a while. on stage time, so that's that's an extra couple of minutes potentially there of business, and of course we'd presumably see the Duke, meaningful look, stuff, etc. So there's again, in terms of some of the stuff going on here, actually it's there's an awful lot of considering a point, but actually in terms of plot beats, again, there isn't actually, these scenes could go quite quickly. But again, it's all about character and delving into those character moments. And then, hey, random bit of spectacle, always nice. Thoughts? Who's got any thoughts? I'm sure the Duke's a lovely guy. I'm sure it's all fine. Lois?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of strange things in this. I mean, Middleton, I think, is sort of obsessed with the subject of, I don't know, men who are too good at getting children. You get something like this in Chaste Mate in Cheapside, and Leantio seems to be really worried that he'll get her pregnant too many times. They'll go broke because they can't possibly support all these kids. And he thinks that, he says, I have such luck to flesh. I never bought a horse, but he bore double. I mean, everything I touch seems to breed. And he's obviously obsessed with making enough money to support her and just to sort of live in the style to which they would like to be accustomed. I mean, that's one sort of odd thing. I also love the bit where when Bianca says, didn't the Duke look up? And the mother says, oh, that's everyone's conceit that sees a Duke. I mean, right.
Yeah. And yeah, there's little things. Connor, were you waving earlier, or just was your hand just in a general upward direction?
No, I was sneezing. Sorry.
Okay, that's cool.
But it's coming. It's a nice little tip to it. I think the scenes are moving on really nicely, and I like it. It's been a long while.
Yeah, this first act, and we've just finished the first act, is in terms of plot delivery, it's taking its time, it's delivering little plot beats, it's setting up future plot beats, it's nicely constructed, and I say it's giving us wiggle room in terms of, well, we could trim back this, or we could trim back that, but I'm not necessarily going, oh, I'm bored, or this is awful. I mean, as I said, we did skirt over the ward a little bit. I think we'll discuss the ward at greater depth later on in the play when we find out what their structural function is, about what one does with a character like that in a text like this. Let's dive into the epic Act 2, because this one goes on for a while. We probably won't finish it this session. Act 2, Scene 1. Enter Hippolito and Lady Livia, the widow.
A strange affection, brother, when I think on it. I wonder how you camest by it.
Even as easily as a man comes by destruction, which oft-times he wears in his own bosom.
And the world's so populous in women, and creation so prodigal in beauty, and so various. Yet does love turn thy point to thine own blood. 'Tis somewhat too unkindly. Must thy eye dwell evilly on the fairness of thy kindred, and seek not where it should? It is confined now in a narrower prison than was made for it. It is allowed a stranger, and where bounty is made the great man's honor, 'tis ill husbandry to spare, and servants shall have small thanks for it. So the heaven's bounty seems to scorn and mock that spares free means and spends of his own stock.
Never was man's misery so soon sowed up, counting how truly.
Nay, I love you so that I shall venture much to keep a change from you, so fearful as this grief will bring upon you. Faith, it even kills me when I see you faint under a reprehension, and I'll leave it, though I know nothing can be better for you. Prithee, sweet brother, let not passion waste the goodness of thy time and thy fortune. Thou keep'st the treasure of that life I love as dearly as mine own. And if you think my former words too bitter, which were ministered by truth and zeal, 'tis but a hazarding of grace and virtue that I can bring forth as pleasant fruits as sensuality wishes in all her teeming longings. This I can do.
Oh, nothing that can make my wishes perfect.
I would that love of yours were pawned to it, brother, and as soon lost that way as I could win. Sir, I could give as a shrewd a lift to chastity as she that wears a tongue in as any she that wears a tongue in Florence. Should need be a good horsewoman, and sit fast, whom my strong argument could not fling at last. Prithee, take courage, man. Though I should counsel another to despair, yet I am pitiful to thy afflictions, and will venture hard. I will not name for what, 'tis not handsome, but for you the proof, and praise me.
Then I fear me I shall not praise you in haste.
This is the comfort. You are not the first, brother, has attempted things more forbidden than this seems to be. I'll minister all cordials to you now, because I'll cheer you up, sir.
I am past hope.
Love, thou shalt see me do a strange cure then, as e'er was wrought on a disease so mortal, and near akin to shame. When shall you see her?
Never in comfort more.
You are so impatient, too.
You believe death? She has forsworn my company and sealed it with a blush.
So I perceive. All lies upon my hands then. Well, but more glory when the work's finished. How now, sir, the news?
Never indeed. A servant has entered.
Madam, your niece, the virtuous Isabella, is delighted now to see you.
That's great fortune. Sir, your stars bless. You simple, lead her in.
Exit servant.
What's this to me?
Your absence, gentle brother. I must bestir my wits for you.
Aye, to great purpose.
And exit for Hippolito.
Beshrew you, would I loved you not so well. I'll go to bed and leave this deed undone. I am the fondest where I once affect, the carefulest of their healths and of their ease, forsooth, that I look still but slenderly to mine own. I take a course to pity him so much now, that I have none left for modesty and myself. This 'tis to grow so liberal. You have few sisters that love their brothers' ease above their own honesties. But if you question my affections, that will be found my fault. Niece, your love's welcome. Alas, what draws that paleness to thy cheeks? Is enforced marriage towards?
For indeed Isabella has entered.
It helps, good aunt, amongst some other griefs, but those I'll keep locked up in modest silence, for their sorrows would shame the tongue more than they grieve the thought.
Indeed, the reward is simple.
Simple? That were well. Why, one might make good shift with such a husband. But he's a fool entailed. He halts downright in it.
And knowing this, I hope 'tis at your choice to take or refuse, niece.
You see it is not. I loathe him more than beauty can hate death or age her spiteful neighbour.
Let's appear then.
How can I, being born with that obedience that must submit unto a father's will? If he command, I must of force consent.
Alas, poor soul, be not offended, prithee, if I set by the name of niece awhile, and bring in pity in a stranger fashion. It lies here in this breast. Would cross this match.
How cross it, aunt?
Aye, and give thee more liberty than thou hast reason yet to apprehend.
Oh, sweet aunt, in goodness keep not hid from me what may befriend my life.
Yes, I must. When I return to reputation and think upon the solemn vow I made to your dead mother, my most loving sister, as long as I have her memory twixt mine eyelids, look for no pity now.
Kind, sweet, dear aunt.
No, 'twas a secret I have took special care of, delivered by your mother on her deathbed. That's 9 years now, and I'll not part from it yet, though never was fitter time, nor greater cause for it.
As you desire the praises of a virgin.
Good sorrow, I would do thee any kindness, not wronging secrecy or reputation.
Neither of which, as I have hope of fruitfulness, shall receive wrong from me.
Nay, 'twould be your own wrong as much as any's, should it come to that once.
I need no better means to work persuasion then.
Let it suffice. You may refuse this fool, or you may take him, as you see occasion for your advantage. The best wits will do it. You have liberty enough in your will. You cannot be enforced. There grows the flower, if you could prick it out. Makes whole life sweet to you. That which you call your father's commands nothing, and your obedience must needs be as little. If you can make shift here to taste your happiness, or pick out aught that likes to you, much good do you. And you see, cheer. I'll make you no set dinner.
Trust me, I may starve for all the good I can find yet in this. Sweet aunt, deal plainlier.
Say I should trust you now upon an oath, and give you in a secret that would start you. How am I sure of you in faith and silence?
Equal assurance may I find in mercy as you for that in me.
It shall suffice. Then know, however custom has made good for reputation's sake, the names of niece and aunt twixt you and I were nothing less.
How's that?
I told you I should start your blood. You are no more allied to any of us, save what the courtesy of opinion casts upon your mother's memory and your name. Than the merest stranger is, or one begot at Naples, when the husband lies at Rome. There's so much odds betwixt us. Since your knowledge wished more instruction, and I have your oath in pledge for silence, it makes me talk the freelier. Did never the report of that famed Spaniard, Marquess of Karoulla, since your time was ripe for understanding, fill your ear with wonder?
Yes. What of him? I have heard his deeds of honour often related when we lived in Naples.
You heard the praises of your father, then?
My father?
That was he. But all the business so carefully and so discreetly carried, that fame received no spot by it, not a blemish. Your mother was so wary to her end, none knew it, but her conscience and her friend, till penitent confession made it mine, and now my pity, yours. It had been long else, and I hope care and love alike in you, make good by oath, will see you take no wrong now. How weak his commands now, whom you call father, how vain his enforcements, your obedience, and what a largeness in your will and liberty to take or to reject, or to do both. For fools will serve to father wise men's children, and this ye have time to think on. O my wench, nothing overthrows your sex but indiscretion. We might do well else of a brittle people, as any under great canopy. I pray forget not, but call me aunt still. Take heed of that, it may be marked in time else, but keep your thoughts to yourself from all the world, kindred or dearest friend. Nay, I entreat you from him that all this while you have called uncle. For though you love him dearly, as I know his deserts claim as much even from a stranger, yet do not let him know this, I prithee do not, as ever thou hast hope of sound second pity. If thou shouldst stand in need on it, do not do it.
Leave my oath, I will not.
Well, well said. Who shows more craft undo a maidenhead, and I'll resign my part to her.
Enter Hippolito.
She's thine own. Go.
Alas, fair flattery cannot cure my sorrows.
Exit Livia.
Have I passed so much time in ignorance, and never had the means to know myself till this blessed hour? Thanks to her virtuous pity that brought it now to light. Would I had known it but one day sooner. He had then received in favours what, poor gentleman, he took in bitter words, a slight and harsh reward for one of his deserts.
There seems to be now more anger and distraction in her looks. And gone. I'll not endure a second storm. The memory of the first is not past yet.
Are you returned, you comforts of my life? In this man's presence, I will keep you fast now, and sooner part eternally from the world than my good joys in you. Prithee, forgive me. I did but chide in jest. The best loves use it sometimes. It sets an edge upon affection. When we invite our best friends to a feast, 'tis not all sweetmeats that we set before them. There's somewhat sharp and salt, both to whet appetite and make 'em taste their wine well. So methinks, after a friendly, sharp, and savoury chiding, a kiss tastes wondrous well, and full of the grape. How thinkst thou?
'Tis so excellent,
It's
I
not.
know not how to praise it. What to say to it?
This marriage shall go forward.
With the ward, are you in earnest?
'Twould be ill for us else.
Alas, means she that?
Troth, I begin to be so well, methinks, within this hour, for all this match able to kill one's heart. For all this match able to kill one's heart. Nothing can pull me down now. Should my father provide a worse fool yet, which I should think were a hard thing to compass, I'd have him either. The worse the better. None can come amiss now. If he wants wit enough, so discretion love me, desert and judgment I have content sufficient. She that comes once to be a housekeeper must not look every day to farewell, sir, like a young waiting gentlewoman in service, for she feeds commonly as her lady does. No good bit passes her, but she gets a taste on't. But when she comes to keep house for herself, she's glad of some choice cates, then, once a week, or twice at most, and glad if she can get 'em. So must affection learn to fare with thankfulness. Pray, make your love no stranger, sir. That's all. Though you be one yourself, and know not on't, and I have sworn you must not.
Exit Isabella.
Oh, this is beyond me. Never come joy so unexpectedly to meet desires in man. She does. What has she done to her? Can any tell? Oh, 'tis beyond sorcery. 'Tis drugs or love powders. Some art that has no name sure, strange to me of all the wonders I e'er met withal throughout my 10 years' travels, but I am thankful for it. This marriage now must of necessity forward. It is the only veil wit can devise to keep our acts hid from sin-piercing eyes.
Exit Hippolito. So, Livia, Livia, I think your moral compass might need to go back to the shop. It's not just, this whole incest on her brother's part. It's just, is there incest on her part in her mind as well? It's just like, love is a word that can be used in multiple ways in the early modern sense, but the way she says that, you're sort of going, okay, this is all a bit dodgy. Lynn.
Yeah, I love that character. I just think Livia is a fabulous character. I mean, from the very beginning, she's really witty, and she's like, "Oh no, I'm old, I'm blown, I'm bloomed out." And she doesn't pull her punches. She just says, marrying my niece to a man she's never seen before and may not love. I'm not down with that. At the risk of offending you. So, I think she's really great from the very beginning. And yeah, her moral compass. What moral compass? I mean, she is entirely amoral, and I think that's kind of fascinating about her. But at the same time, let's not forget the fact that as soon as Isabella has the slightest pretext to have sex with her uncle, she does it. She just falls right off. And Livia's story is really thin. It's like, oh, he's not really your father, so you don't have to obey him. Oh, he's just the man that paid for your upbringing, that believes he's your father, that's cared for you all your, like, you owe him nothing. What? It's such a weak argument to begin with. And Isabel doesn't even have to think about it. It's like the first thing she says is like, oh, then I can have an affair with my uncle. Because it's not really
I'll marry the ward for coverage, and we'll have an affair. And Hippolito's just sort of going, hang on, what now? It's like
and allow him, the man I supposedly love, to think that I'm still his niece. Like I
Mm.
promised not to tell him. So, oh, like allow him to sort of be tormented by guilt and shame, or maybe that's sort of an enhancement to desire. But like Isabella has no moral core either.
Mm.
So, and Hippolito. I mean, he feels some guilt, but his emotions certainly take precedence over his morals or his guilt. So, I mean, nobody's great, but they're great. But nobody's good. They're great. You know?
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Is it's not like these are people. We haven't really met anyone who's not unpleasant character. They're doing some dodgy things, but they're not sort of going ha, you know, and you know, they're interesting people who I'm sure would be very pleasant to have, you know, a dinner conversation. I mean, at Christmas might be awkward, but you know, it's yeah. Any other brief thoughts before we go into the epic scene we might not finish this session, Sarah?
Yeah, they're also doing very dodgy things within a very dodgy framework. I think that's the thing about these people, the nature of this society that they're all living in is so dodgy in itself. You know, and that's a whole discussion for the, you know, the patriarchy that you could wing off on for forever. But because that framework is so stultifying and rigid and restrictive, especially for the women, but, you know, for the men as well. The fact that these people are doing such horrendous, dodgy things within that framework, it's like, it doesn't make it right by any means, but you can kind of sympathize with them, even while you're going, oh my God, what is she doing? No. It's clever because we you know, they've set up this forced marriage. They've set up this, you know, horrible father. You know, there's so much that is nasty within the framework of what, you know, good society is, that these kind of, you know, very immoral digressions, it makes us feel conflicted about them in a way that would not be the case if Middleton hadn't set up the framework for it all, you know, so deftly.
And also, I mean, I think one of the other reasons why it's something that appeals to modern directors and producers and actors and audiences today is actually the core unit of this play is actually quite small so far. You need quite a large room to do a lot of it, but actually in terms of you finding parts that actors would like to play, there's a good half a dozen here that we've got that are really interesting and really dynamic and and where you can have lengthy conversations in rehearsals where you figure out what the hell you're going to do with this part, which some plays don't have, and it's interesting where that will go. Erin?
There's something I'm liking about the fact that she's not she gets introduced to the scheme, right? Isabella gets introduced to, like, originally it's like, oh, I'm being ordered to marry this idiot, and we watch her do the turn to, oh wait, I could marry that idiot and then get what I want. Like, we get to watch her develop, you know, out of like, I'm in this horrible, awful situation into, oh, this could be the best of all possible worlds, which I find really intelligent and clever. Like, it's not like a character who came bursting onto the scene saying, you know, I'll tell you what I'll do. I have contrived to marry this fool and fool my father and sleep with. Like, we watch her like struggle a little bit with the morality and then make the choice, which I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying that, and it's not boiled down to like a morality play. Like, we're seeing her kind of get turned on by this kinky idea of, I could live this really, you know, illicit lifestyle and it might work out really well for everybody. So I'm enjoying that part of it, that aspect.
Okay, let's dive into Act 2, Scene 2 then. Enter Guardiano and Livia.
Oh, sir, a gentlewoman so young, so fair as you set forth, spied from the widow's window,
She
our Sunday dinner woman.
and Thursday supper woman the same still. I know not how she came by her, but I'll swear she's the prime gallant for a face in Florence, and no doubt other parts follow their leader. The Duke himself first spied her at the window, then in a rapture, as if admiration were poor when it were single, beckoned me, and pointed to the wonder warily, as one that feared she would draw in her splendor too soon, if too much gazed at. I never knew him so infinitely taken with a woman. Nor can I blame his appetite, or tax his raptures of slight folly. She's a creature able to draw a state from serious business and make it their best piece to do her service. What course shall we devise? Has spoken twice now.
Twice?
'Tis beyond your apprehension. How strangely that one look has catched his heart. 'Twould prove but too much worth in wealth and savour to those should work his peace.
And if I do it not, or at least come as near it, if your art will take a little pains and second me, as any wench in Florence of my standing, I'll quite give it o'er, and shut up shop in cunning.
'Tis for the Duke, and if I fail your purpose, all means to come by riches or advancement miss me and skip me over.
Let the old woman then be sent for with all speed, then I'll begin.
A good conclusion follow, and a sweet one after this stale beginning with old ware. Within there!
Enter a servant.
Sir, do you call?
Come near, list, hither.
And he whispers to the servant.
I long myself to see this absolute creature that wins the heart of love and praise so much.
Go, sir, make you haste.
Say, I entreat her company. Do you hear, sir?
Yes, madam.
Exit servant.
That brings her quickly.
Oh, I would 'twere done. The Duke waits the good hour, and I wait the good fortune that may spring for't. I have had a lucky hand these 15 year at such court passage with 3 dice in a dish. Ah, Signor Fabritio.
Indeed, enter Signor Fabritio.
Oh, sir, I bring an alteration in my mouth now.
An alteration? No wise speech, I hope. He means not to talk wisely, does he, Tro? Good. What's the change, I pray, sir?
A new change.
Another yet. Faith, there's enough already.
My daughter loves him now.
What does she, sir?
Affects him beyond thought. Who but the ward forsooth, no taught but of the ward, she would have him to choose above all men she ever saw. My will goes not so fast as her consent now. Her duty gets before my command still.
Why then, sir, if you'll have me speak my thoughts, I smell 'twill be a match.
Aye, and a sweet young couple if I any judgment.
Faith, that's little. Let her be sent tomorrow before noon, and handsomely tricked up, for about that time I mean to bring her in and tender her to him.
I warrant you for handsome, I will see her things laid ready, every one in order, and have some part of her tricked up to the night.
Why, well said.
'Twas a use her mother had when she was invented to an early wedding. She dressed her head to the night, sprung up herself, and give her neck 3 lavenders.
Ne'er a halter?
On with her chain of pearl, her ruby bracelets, lay ready all her tricks and jig and boobs.
So must your daughter.
I'll about it straight, sir.
Exit Fabritio.
How he sweats in the foolish zeal of fatherhood after 6 ounces an hour, and seems to toil as much as if his cares were wise ones.
Ye have let this folly blood in the right vein, lady.
And here comes his sweet son-in-law that shall be. They're both allied in wit before the marriage. What will they be hereafter when they are nearer? Yet they can go no further than the fool. There's the world's end in both of them.
And enter Ward and Sordido, one with a shuttlecock, the other with a battledore.
Now, young heir.
What's the next business after the shuttlecock now?
Tomorrow you shall see the gentlewoman must be your wife.
There's even another thing, too, must be kept up with a pair of battledores. My wife, what can she do?
Nay, that's a question you should ask yourself, Ward, when you're alone together.
That's as I list. A wife's to be asked anywhere, I hope. I'll ask her in a congregation, if I've a mind to it, and so save a license. My Guardianer has no more wit than a herb woman that sells away all her sweet herbs and nosegays, and keeps a stinking breath for her own pottage.
Let me be at the choosing of your beloved, if you desire a woman of good parts.
Thou shalt, sweet Sordido.
I have a plaguey guess. Let me alone to see what she is. If I but look upon her way, I know all the faults to a hair, that you may refuse her for.
Dost thou? I prithee let me hear 'em, Sordido.
Well, mark 'em then. I'll have 'em all in rhyme. The wife your gardener ought to tender should be pretty, straight, and slender, her hair not short, her foot not long, her hand not huge, nor too loud her tongue, no pearl in eye, nor ruby in her nose, no burn nor cut, but what the catalogue shows. She must have teeth, and that no black ones, and kiss most sweet when she does smack once. Her skin must both be white and plump, her body straight, not humper-rumped, or wriggle sideways like a crab. She must be neither slut nor drab, nor go too splay-foot with her shoes, to make her smock lick up the dews. And 2 things more, which I forgot to tell ye. She must neither have bump in back nor belly. These are faults that will not make her pass.
And if I spy not these, I am a rank ass.
Nay, more, by right, sir, you should see her naked. But that's the ancient order.
See her naked? That were good sport, i' faith. I'll have the books turned o'er, and if I find her naked on record, she shall not have a rag on. But stay, how if she should desire to see me, so too I were in a sweet case then, such a foul skin.
You have a clean shirt, and that makes amends, sir.
I will not see her naked for that trick, though.
Exit Ward.
Then take her with all faults, with her clothes on. They may hide a number with a bum roll. The choosing of a wench in a huge farthingale is like the buying of ware under a great penthouse. What with the deceit of one and the false light of t'other, mark my speeches, he may have a diseased wench in his bed and rotten stuff in his breeches.
Exit Sordido.
It may take handsomely.
Guardiano goes out and re-enters almost immediately.
I see small hindrance. How now, so soon returned?
And
She's come.
carry on. Enter mother.
That's well. Widow, come. I have a great quarrel to you. Faith, I must chide you that have been sent for. You make yourself so strange, never come at us, and yet so near a neighbor, and so unkind. Troth, you are to blame. You cannot be more welcome to any house in Florence, that I'll tell you.
My thanks must need acknowledge so much, madam.
How can you be so strange, then? I sit here sometime whole days together without company, when business draws this gentleman from home, and should be happy in society, which I so well affect, as that of yours. I know you're alone, too. Why should not we, like 2 kind neighbors, then, supply the wants of one another, having tongue discourse, experience in the world, and such kind helps to laugh down time? Meet age merely.
Age, madam, you speak mirth. 'Tis at my door, but a long journey from your ladyship yet.
My faith, I'm 39, every stroke, wench, and 'tis general observation mongst knights, wives, or widows. We account ourselves then old, when young men's eyes leave looking at's. 'Tis a true rule amongst us, and ne'er failed yet, in any but in one, that I remember. Indeed, she had a friend at 49. Marry, she paid well for him, and in the end, he kept a queen or 2 with her own money, that robbed her of her plate and cut her throat.
She had her punishment in this world, madam, and a fair warning to all other women that they live chaste at 50.
Aye, or never, wench. Come, now I have thy company, I'll not part with it till after supper.
Yes, I must crave pardon, madam.
I swear you shall stay for supper. We have no strangers, woman, none but my sojourners and I. This gentleman and the young heir, his ward. You know our company.
Some other time I will make bold with you, madam.
Nay, pray. Oh. Nay, pray stay, widow.
Faith, she shall not go. Do you think I'll be forsworn?
And a table and a chess set are laid out.
Tis a great while till supper time. I'll take my leave then now, madam, and come again in the evening, since your ladyship will have it so.
In the evening, by my troth, wench, I'll keep you while I have you. You have a great business, sure, to sit alone at home. I wonder strangely what pleasure you take in it. Were it to me now, I should be for ever at one neighbor's house or the other all day long, having no charge, or none to chide you. If you go or stay, who may live merrier, I, or more at heart's ease? Come, will to chess or draughts. There are 100 tricks to drive out time till supper. Never feared, wench.
I'll make but one step home and return straight, madam.
I'll not trust you. You use more excuses to your kind friends than ever I knew any. What business can you have if it be sure you've locked the doors, and that being all you have, I know you're careful on it? One afternoon so much to spend here. Say, I should entreat you now to lie a night or two, or a week with me, or leave your own house for a month together. It were kindness that long neighborhood and friendship might well hope to prevail in. Would you deny such a request? Faith, speak truly and freely.
I were then uncivil, madam.
Go to then, set your men. We'll have whole nights of mirth together, ere we be much older, wench.
As good now tell her then, for she will know it. I have always found her a most friendly lady.
My widow, where's your mind?
Troth, even at home, madam. To tell you truth, I left a gentlewoman, even sitting all alone, which is uncomfortable, especially to young bloods.
Another excuse.
No, as I hope for health, madam, that's a truth. Please you to send and see.
What gentlewoman, pish?
Wife to my son, indeed, but not known, madam, to any but yourself.
Oh, now I beshrew you. Could you be so unkind to her and me to come and not bring her? Faith, 'tis not friendly.
I fear to be too bold.
Too bold? Oh, what's become of true hearty love that was wont to be amongst neighbors in old time?
And she's a stranger, madam.
The more should be her welcome, when it is courtesy and better practice, than when 'tis employed in entertaining strangers. I could chide you, Faith. Leave her behind, poor gentlewoman, alone too. Make some amends and send for her betimes. Go.
Please you command one of your servants, madam?
Within there.
Enter servant.
Of course, I forgot to scroll down. Madam.
Attend the gentlewoman.
It must be carried wondrous privately from my son's knowledge. He'll break out in storms else. Hark you, sir.
And whispers to the servant.
Now comes in the heat of your part.
True, I know it, lady, and if I be out, may the Duke banish me from all employments, wanton or serious.
So, have you sent, widow?
Yes, madam. He is almost at home by this.
And Faith, let me entreat you that henceforward all such unkind faults may be swept from friendship, which does but dim the lustre. And think thus much it is a wrong to me, and that have ability to bid friends welcome, when you keep 'em from me. You cannot set greater dishonor near me, for bounty is the credit and the glory of those that have enough. I see you're sorry, and the good men's is made by it.
Here she is, madam.
Enter Brancha and servant.
I wonder how she comes to send for me now.
Gentlewoman, you're most welcome. Trust me, y'are, as courtesy can make one, or respect due to the presence of you.
I give you thanks, lady.
I heard you were alone, and it appeared an ill condition in me, though I knew you not, nor never saw you, yet humanity thinks every case her own. To have kept your company hear from you, and left you all solitary. I rather ventured upon boldness then, as the least fault, and wished your presence here, the thing most happily motioned of that gentleman, whom I request you, for his care and pity, to honor and reward with your acquaintance. A gentleman that ladies' rights stands for. That's his profession.
'Tis a noble one, and honors my acquaintance.
All my intentions are servants to such mistresses.
'Tis your modesty, it seems, that makes your deserts speak so low, sir.
Come, widow. Look you, lady, here's our business.
Indicating a chessboard.
And we not well employed, think you, an old quarrel between us that will never be at end.
No, and methinks there's men enough to part you, lady.
Oh, but they set us on. Let us come off as well as we can, poor souls. Men can no farther. I pray sit down, forsooth, if you have the patience to look upon two weak and tedious gamesters.
Faith, madam, set these by till evening. You'll have enough on't then. The gentlewoman, being a stranger, would take more delight to see your rooms and pictures.
Marry, good sir, and well remembered, I beseech you show him her. That will beguile time well. Pray heartily do, sir. I'll do as much for you. Here, take these keys. Show her the monument, too, and that's a thing everyone sees not. You can witness that widow.
And that's worth sight indeed, madam.
Kind lady, I fear I came to be a trouble to you.
Oh, nothing less, forsooth.
And to this courteous gentleman that wears a kindness in his breast, so noble and bounteous to the welcome of a stranger.
If you but give acceptance to my service, you do the greatest grace and honor to me that courtesy can merit.
I were to blame else, and out of fashion much. I pray you, lead, sir.
After a game or two, we're for you, gentle folks.
We wish no better seconds in society than your discourses, madam, and your partners there.
I thank your praise. I listened to you, sir, though when you spoke, there came a paltry rook full in my way, and chokes up all my game.
Exit Guardiano and Bianca.
Alas, poor widow, I shall be too hard for thee.
You're cunning at the game, I'll be sworn, madam.
It will be found so ere I give you over. She that can place her man well.
As you do, madam.
As I shall, wench. I can never lose her game. Nay, nay, the Black King's mine.
Cry you mercy, madam.
And this my queen.
I see it now.
Here's a duke. We'll strike a sure stroke for the game anon. Your pawn cannot come back to relieve itself.
Yeah, I know that, madam.
You play well the whilst. How she belies her skill. I hold 2 ducats. I give you check and mate to your white king. Simplicity itself, your saintish king there.
Well, ere now, lady, I have seen the fall of subtlety. Just on.
Aye, but simplicity receives 2 for 1.
What remedy but patience?
And enter above Guardiano and Bianca.
Trust me, sir, mine eye never met with fairer ornaments.
Nay, livelier, I'm persuaded, neither Florence nor Venice can produce.
Sir, my opinion takes your part highly.
There's a better piece yet than all these.
The Duke is discovered above.
Not possible, sir.
Believe it. You'll say so when you see it. Turn but your eye now. You're upon it presently.
Exit Guardiano.
Oh, sir.
He's gone, beauty. Hush, look not after him. He's but a vapor, that when the sun appears is seen no more.
He takes hold of her.
Oh, treachery to honor.
Pray thee tremble not. I feel thy breast shake like a turtle panting under a loving hand that makes much on it. Why art thou so fearful? As I am friend to brightness, there's nothing but respect and honor near thee. You know me, you have seen me. Here's a heart can witness I have thee. I have seen thee.
The more's my danger.
The more is thy happiness. Strive not, sweet.
In third stage direction, she struggles to get away.
This strength were excellent employed in love now, but here 'tis misspent. Strive not to seek thy liberty, and keep me still in prison. In faith you shall not out, till I am released now. We'll be both free together, or stay still by it. So is captivity pleasant.
Oh, my lord!
I am not here in vain. Have but the leisure to think on that, and thou'lt be soon resolved. The lifting of thy voice is but like one that does exalt his enemy, who proving high, lays all the plots to confound him that raised him. Take warning, I beseech thee. Thou seemest to me a creature so composed of gentleness and delicate weakness, such as bless the faces of figures that are drawn for goddesses, and makes art proud to look upon her work. I should be sorry the least force should lay an unkind touch upon thee.
Oh, my extremity! My lord, what seek you?
Love.
'Tis gone already. I have a husband.
That's a single comfort. Take a friend to him.
That's a double mischief, or else there's no religion.
Do not tremble at fears of thine own making.
Nor, great lord, make me not bold with death and deeds of ruin, because they fear not you. Me they must fright, then am I best in health. Should thunder speak and none regard it, it had lost the name and were as good be still. I'm not like those that take their soundest sleeps in greatest tempests, then wake I most, the weather fearfullest, and call for strength to virtue.
Sure, I think thou knowest the way to please me. I affect a passionate pleading, above an easy yielding, but never pitied any. They deserve none that will not pity me. I can command, think upon that. Yet if thou truly knewest the infinite pleasure my affection takes in gentle fair entreatings, when love's businesses are carried courteously twixt heart and heart, you'd make much more haste to please me.
Why should you seek, sir, to take away that you can never give?
But I give better in exchange, wealth, honor. She that is fortunate in a duke's favor lights on a tree that bears all women's wishes. In your own mother saw you pluck fruit there. She would commend your wit and praise the time of your nativity. Take hold of glory. Do not, I know, ye have cast away your life upon necessities, means merely doubtful to keep you in indifferent health and fashion, a thing I heard too lately and soon pitied. And you can be so much your beauteous enemy to kiss away a month or two in wedlock and weep whole years in wants forever after? Come, play the wife, wench, and provide forever. Let storms come when they list. They find thee sheltered. Should any doubt arise, let nothing trouble thee. Put trust in our love for the managing of all to thy heart's peace. We'll walk together and show a thankful joy for both our fortunes.
Exit those above. We return focus to Livia and Mother.
Did not I say my duke would fetch you over, widow?
I think you spoke in earnest when you said it, madam.
And my black king makes all the haste he can do.
Well, madam, we may meet with him in time yet.
I have given thee blind mate twice.
You may see, madam, my eyes begin to fail.
I swear they do, wench.
Enter Guardiano.
I can but smile as often as I think on it, how prettily the poor fool was beguiled, how unexpectedly. It's a witty age, never were finer snares for women's honesties than are devised in these days. No spider's web, made of a daintier thread, than are now practised to catch love's flesh fly by the silver wing. Yet to prepare her stomach by degrees to Cupid's feast, because I saw 'twas queasy, I showed her naked pictures by the way, a bit to stay the appetite. Well, advancement, I venture hard to find thee. If thou comest with a greater title set upon thy crest, I'll take that first cross patiently, and wait until some other comes greater than that. I'll endure all.
The game is even at best now. You may see, widow, how all things draw to an end.
Even so I do, madam.
I pray, take some of your neighbors along with you.
They must be those are almost twice your years then, if they be chose fit matches for my time, madam.
Has not my duke bestirred himself?
Oh, yes, faith, madam. He has done me all the mischief in this game.
Has showed himself in his kind.
His kind, call you it. I may swear that.
Yes, faith, and keep your oath.
Hark, list, there's somebody coming down. 'Tis she.
Enter Brancha.
Now bless me from a blasting. I saw that now, fearful for any woman's eye to look on. Infectious mists and mildews hang at his eyes. The weather of a doomsday dwells upon him. Yet, since mine honour's leprous, why should I preserve that fair that caused the leprosy? Come, poison all at once. Thou, in whose baseness the bane of virtue broods, I'm bound in soul eternally to curse thy smooth-browed treachery that wore the fair veil of a friendly welcome, and I a stranger. Think upon 'tis worth it. Murders piled up upon a guilty spirit at his last breath will not lie heavier than this betraying act upon thy conscience. Beware of offering the first fruits to sin. His weight is deadly who commits with strumpets after they've been abased and made for use. If they offend to the death, as wise men know, how much more they, then, that first made 'em so. I give thee that to feed on. I'm made bold now, I thank thy treachery. Sin and I'm acquainted, no couple greater. And I'm like that great one who, making politic use of a base villain, he likes the treason well, but hates the traitor. So I hate thee, slave.
Well, so the Duke love me, I fare not much amiss then. Two great feasts do seldom come together in one day. We must not look for 'em.
What? At it still, mother?
You see we sit by it. Are you so soon returned?
So lively and so cheerful. A good sign, that.
You have not seen all, sure.
That have I, mother, the monument and all. I'm so beholding to this kind, honest, courteous gentleman. You'd little think it, mother, showed me all, had me from place to place, so fashionably. The kindness of some people, how it exceeds. Faith, I've seen that I little thought to see in the morning when I rose.
Nay, so I told you. Before you saw it, it would prove your sight. It would prove worth your sight. I give you great thanks for my daughter, sir, and all your kindness towards her.
O good widow, much good may do her. 40 weeks hence, i' faith.
Enter servant.
Now, sir.
May it please you, madam, to walk in. Supper is upon the table.
Yes, we come. Will it please you, gentlewoman?
Thanks, virtuous lady. You're a damn bawd. I'll follow you, forsooth. Pray take my mother in. An old ass go with you. This gentleman and I vow not to part.
And get you both before.
There lies his art.
They exit, leaving Livia.
Widow, I'll follow you. Is it so? Damned bawd. Are you so bitter? 'Tis but want of use. Her tender modesty is sea-sick a little, being not accustomed to the breaking billow of woman's wavering faith, blown with temptations. 'Tis but a qualm of honour. 'Twill away. A little better for the time, but lasts not. Sin tastes at first draught like wormwood water, but drunk again, 'tis nectar ever after.
And exit Livia. End of Act 2, Scene 2. It's a big one, and I ideally would have stopped a few times, but we had to squeeze it all in. It's a chunky, long old play. This is playing the dramatic irony card again and again and again and again, with action that's occurring on stage, action that's occurring off stage. What we know, what the audience knows is going on, and also played by characters to each other as well, in that closing moment where it's all smiles in public and you are damned in private. The asides well navigated, a lot of asides there not fully marked. I have been making adjustments as we go, but this is such a dynamic series of things. The ironies being played with the chessboard, as well as other actions. Thoughts in the room about this? I saw some comments in the chat. Do elaborate on those in public if you like. Erin.
We're using phrases in the chat like split screen and so on. I'm wondering if Middleton not having the benefit of cinema is trying super hard to make us think this way, with the conversation over the chessboard and then the conversation above over the conversation over the, like, really trying very hard to build up that arrangement so that we start looking for the scene behind the scene, because he's going to come into this moment where I think it's Livia, or no, it's Brancha, come into this moment where she is going to smile and say what a pleasant time she had, and he really wants to land that punch that, like, what you're seeing is not what is going on underneath, and he's just doing so much to try and build that up, because he doesn't, it's not, for us it's part of the language of drama and cinema and so on now, but for him it might be something very new going on.
I mean, oh yeah, Savannah.
Sorry, I was the one who made the split screen comment, and I was just thinking, because I mean, if you're thinking it from like a physical standpoint, you have, on the one hand, you have below perhaps this scene going on with the chess game, and then on the top half you have, you know, the Duke and Brancha, you know, wandering through these galleries, and obviously the two are supposed to be kind of reflective of each other, but it's not something I think you really see a lot, you know, from this particular time period. So I just thought that was really fascinating and very, very modern.
I mean, the various split screen of that kind of effects, they do exist. It's something that creeps in considerably more, I think, in the 17th century than, say, the 16th century. But it's certainly something that is done. Parallel scenes going on, bouncing off each other. But I don't think quite such a bravura performance of that kind of technique all in one go here. I mean, it really is. It's layering so many things into one scene. So it's taking something that has perhaps been done before, but it's doing it in just, you know, a very skilled craftsman towards the end of his career. Lois, were you waving? And then I see Eric.
Yeah, I mean, I think Middleton likes imagery of games, partly, I think, because it suggests someone is maneuvering all these pieces somewhere and nobody has as much free will as they think. But I mean, I saw a long time ago, I think, a television version of this where you actually saw, I think, the mother moving a white pawn forward, which of course is a common opening gambit in a game. And then you saw Bianca walking, and, you know, because that's why her name really has to be Bianca. I mean, she is the white pawn. And there are references to the simplicity, the white king, who is obviously Leantio. But when we did it in 1980, I think it was, in Leicester, I know that the director wanted very large chess pieces on a large board, and therefore very big moves, so that you could actually have somebody doing this on the board while somebody was making a big move above as well, trying to emphasize the parallelism. I think almost anybody who's directed this has probably been fascinated by the whole problem of how to, you know, integrate the two sets of action.
Well, yeah, I mean, some of those chess, when they're discussing the chessboard, I mean, that doesn't automatically mean that those are moves that are occurring. I mean, so long as someone picks up a piece and then puts it straight back again on their square, they don't have to have made the move, but they can make the reference. Sometimes they are explicit moves, but it's that thing of how do you figure out the chess game that's going on here? Well, some of those are explicit moves, and some of them is just, this is what this piece is, moments, and it's a matter of disentangling them, and also, you know, depending whether it matters, depending on the size of your theatre, and yeah, how you're going to work with that. Back to Lois briefly, then Eric.
Yeah, well, it's just the problem with the chess game is that if you have it played near enough for the audience to see it, they are going to start looking at the game, and people who know about chess are going to know whether the moves make sense or not. And if people start moving chess pieces backwards, and things that you can't do in a game, then somebody will comment on it. So you either have to put it, further from the audience and just do it sort of symbolically, or it's difficult to make this work anyway. And the most effective thing I saw, I think, was a production where they had the chessboard with the game already going, in fact, so that you could make sense of the fact that the duke, which is the rook, is taking action so early, because normally you don't move a rook until fairly well into the game.
Eric?
What I was going to say is that the whole sort of, parallel actions happening in parallel things reminded me of, I think it was the Changeling, where we had not so much the parallel like stories, but the actual, like, I think in the first read of that, we thought that it was like people talking past each other, but they were actually talking to different people in the scene. And we've seen that before in other plays as well, but it seems to be a Middleton thing as well. So I don't know, maybe it's just an interesting.
Well, there are similar stages. Marston does same sort of, a lot of action happening, and your focus is supposed to split to different areas of the stage, but not necessarily split stages in that sense. I'm sure we'll find. We'll spend 5 minutes. We'll find lots of earlier examples. So it's just the layering, I think, that makes this particularly satisfying in that sense. Just on a note, before I go to Aaron, just a note, and then Alan, on just actually what's interesting here is, of course, we've got these Livia, who is the chief fixer. Everybody goes to Livia, who is in control of everything, and then we've got this figure of the Duke, and the Duke is utterly irrelevant in terms of who he is. He's the Duke. He has said 2-3 lines. He's done nothing. He is just there to be moved across this board as part of plot, whereas actually the women are the interesting characters here. So even though this is a particularly unpleasant plot line in so many ways, he is not the focus of the action, and that's quite nice, actually, that we don't care. I don't care who he is. He is just a plot device in that sense. There are problems with that, but that's just different to a lot of other plays where you focus on that hideous person, and therefore he's just there to do a job within the logic of the play. Aaron, then Alan.
Just a small comment to Lois. You mentioned like having the pieces in play because we get to checkmate fairly early. We get the rook out very early. I started to ask myself, are they playing speed chess? Like, is part of the dynamic that they sit down to the game and they just start slamming pieces around really quick while having this pleasant conversation, or if that would be too much. But I started to ask myself, are we meant to assume they are both such skilled players that they're just starting to slap out moves?
Well, I can't see the mother being like that.
No, I mean, that's what I think. This is possibility that Livia's very controlled. Mother just plays a piece, and then Livia just puts it back again. No, you can't do that move. I can see that being part of the dynamic, which is why I think there are other ways of navigating how the chess match functions, because I think you can actually play with the actors as to their level of skill and ability and what they're doing with those pieces. Alan.
Yeah, I got very confused with the way that Livia was addressing Mother throughout. On a number of occasions, she referred to her as wench, which seems rather odd for someone who is of a similar status and similar vintage. And then she changes to addressing her as widow, which makes a lot more sense. And I do wonder whether there's actually a sneery aspect to Livia's conversation that we're not actually picking up on.
I'll go to Lois. I have thoughts.
Yeah, well, they're not of similar status. I mean, the widow is not well off at all, and her son actually works for a living. And Livia's being extremely patronizing, in fact. And I think wench is just a sort of familiar term. It's showing, we're really good friends, aren't we? And in spite of the fact that I'm 10 times more important than you are, I'm being terribly nice to you, and we're really great pals.
Hedda Gabler has the same gambit of let's talk to each other like we're friends, and it's like, but we're not, and it's like it creates a nice awkwardness. Lynn, were you waving?
Yeah, it's similar to Lois's comment. It's sort of jocular, it's sort of ironic and familiar. Yeah, I mean, she doesn't really think of her as like a young wench. It's just it's a kind of a term of endearment, and ironic because the widow's 50-ish. But I like Alan's suggestion that there's sort of an undercurrent of condescension or sneeriness in what's supposed to pass for good-natured irony.
Yes, it's like you have all this stuff. Oh, I need to go, and no, stay. It's fine. We'll play chess and do it. I'm more a whist person. Eric.
I'm just wondering because I mean, okay, we've been talking about this last scene quite a bit in this last act, but like we've had sort of basically main plot interrupted by servants doing silly stuff, sort of like Ward and Sordido and all that stuff. Of course, I've not read the whole play and I've never seen it, so I don't know if they are important to the plot, aside from the fact that, Isabella is going to marry Ward, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and cheat on him and so on. So, yeah. So, like, there's a part of me wondering why he puts that on stage. Is that just sort of show rather than tell instead of, like, because, her first words are, marry a fool. So you have to demonstrate that he is a fool before you actually move on, I guess. I don't know. I'm just intrigued by the fact that he's actually in there.
the ward is important structurally in terms of the plot. I mean, the fact that he has the Sordido and etc. around that. We do have servants who are oiling the wheels here, and actually we should probably talk about the ward because the ward. I mean, what is actually going on there? Is this someone with some kind of active disability, or is this just an idiot? In the sense of someone who's just a terribly entitled, annoying person that you just wish would shut up. Because when it initially came in, I was sort of going, "Oh, this feels uncomfortable." We've been here before in other plays. But now, as it's gone on, it feels like no, it could just be just a prat. And a production needs to make that decision. And it'll be interesting to see where the evidence goes with that further into the text as to what's going on there. Briefly, we can touch on that now. Erin.
Well, I think I'm picking up on the same thing as we had a lot of talk at the beginning about can this scene be shortened? Can this scene? But as it got on, it started to feel so much like some modern dramas I've seen. I think there might just be I feel like I'm just missing the context. Like we're supposed to open on a scene that feels like, any other day. It's supposed to feel like very low stakes drama, but I'm supposed to understand what these people are doing, and I don't because of where, the distance in time. But I can think of several things I've seen even recently where, if you don't, White Lotus comes to mind. Like if you don't know what people do at resorts, you're probably sitting here going, do I need all this? Do I need people lounging by the pool? Do I need people going here? Do I need to see them argue with the travel with the but if you understand the milieu they're trying to establish, you're like, oh, okay, like I get this. I've had these fights, I've had these things, and I just think I'm missing it because their society is so different, and there's something going on that I'm not familiar with or used to.
I'm not feeling that much. I've maybe the very first scene I was sort of going, there's a lot of stuff here, but I was a bit distracted.
Yeah, that's what I was going back to. That idea of like we were saying, can't we? There's low plot, but there's a lot of there's a lot of background. There's a lot of setup.
It's also, I think maybe it's also a front-loading Leantio who kind of doesn't do anything after a while. He's sort of there to not be about. I mean, he's got to not be here for Act 2 so that the plot can move forward. So it might be that we're establishing who he is and their relationship in possibly more detail than we would if it wasn't for the shape of the plot, where it's important that we understand his relationship with the rest of his family. Kyle.
Yeah, I was thinking about him and this sort of, I mean, he seems to be like, Lois had said something about him being the one that works, and that kind of, or maybe it was Lynn, the class distinctions that are there. I wonder about that because it feels like, I mean, it's so hard to say because we don't know the next acts, or at least I haven't seen this play and I don't know this play that well. So, I mean, I've heard about it. That's it. And I wonder, is there going to be some sort of ideology that kind of uplifts things ever, or is it always going to be this very transactional, low world? And in that way, he's kind of the merchant. And it's interesting because he sort of has his I don't know, he seems to be the only kind of somewhat virtuous character, just in his workaday kind of way. I don't know, but I mean, that's just kind of what I'm feeling like as a guess, that how that might work, or how that might,
Well, I think that there is an important that's the point about class here, is actually that we've been edging towards in terms of. I mean, I'm not sure he's a wholly great guy. There are issues, I think, with his relationship with his wife that could be unpacked at great detail in rehearsal. But yeah, if we think of this as a class thing, of that we've got people in higher tiers of society who are practically preying on slightly lower, and even people who are not necessarily poor. And they're part of a matrix where the servant class is also part of that matrix of really awful things, and probably have very good reasons for following what their awful masters are saying, or mistresses, because otherwise they're not going to survive this world. But it's such a narrow world, even though we haven't met that many people. It doesn't feel like we're going outdoors at any point. Connor, sorry, I missed you ages ago.
That's right. Yeah, I've got two ideas about actually the last point about class. I did this play 20 odd years ago.
No spoilers, so do be careful.
I did the Howard Barker version.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Where I play Sordido. So the character that has virtually nothing to say in the first act becomes the main character in the second act. And it's very much about that idea of class and the underbelly of it all. And it's a brilliant version of it. I love it. And then the second point was about the ward. I think, previously you would have had him as kind of Tim, nice but dim character. But now I think I see him more as a really annoying crypto brat, or a really annoying TikToker. Just go away, just shut up.
Because this is
no one's associated with you.
Yeah, because Isabel makes this point of going, if he was just sort of this kind of guy, I could just marry him and forget about it. But I've got to live with him. Oh my God, he won't stop talking. There is this sort of hint about, he's just insufferable to live with, that creeps in as well. Yeah. Lynn, and then Aaron.
Yeah. I wanted to. We sort of went off on several really interesting tangents, but Rob had some concerns about the ward and about his portrayal, and I'm really not that fussed about it. I don't think it's a problematic portrayal of intellectual disability. It's a funny portrayal of just intellectual sloth. He doesn't think because he's never had to. I mean, he's not disabled. He's not like what we would call like developmentally disabled. He's not foolish in that. He's just super duper shallow. Yeah, he's just annoying. So yeah, I'm not fussed about that in terms of like ableism and stuff like that. I don't think that's what's going on. Yeah, I'm not worried about it.
Okay, Aaron, then Lois.
Yeah, I think Connor hit it right on the head. Not just that he's a geek, not just that he's young, not just that he's immature, but I think the last scene was very important. Also, his entire perception of this marriage is that his wife is going to be a plaything for these things he's heard about or read about in other, material that he's never actually, like he's not, he's going to be abusive in his naivete. He's going to do terrible things because he's ignorant and young and doesn't know what he's about. And I think that's really, it really does paint the choice that's in front of her. Like there's been some chatter in the background about like, why would, oh my God, she's stuck with this 50-year-old. It's like, well, given the alternative, the 50-year-old might be the better choice if that is the terrible choice that you're presented with. So,
Lois.
Yeah, I mean, the relationship between the ward and Guardiano is important as well. I mean, the ward gets to choose who the guardian gets to choose who the ward marries, and I think if the ward refuses, I think the guardian may even get the money. I mean, Guardiano's relationship to Ward's estate, the fact that he's rich, but obviously an orphan, is quite important. And it may partly be Guardiano's fault, even that the ward is so totally uneducated and ignorant.
Must be because he's been his word since he was 5.
Mm.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we are rapidly running out of time. Anyone got anything desperately urgent they want to throw in? I will have more time over the next 2 sessions, so hold on to thoughts if necessary. Otherwise, that's it for this first session, Act 1 and Act 2. We will crack on with Act 3 next time. All that remains, thank all the wonderful readers for all their wonderful reading. Thank you very much, everyone, and goodbye. Horsey to Bish Queen 3.